Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, December 15th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now, as we wind down the final 2 weeks of the year, all of you by now should either have received or soon will receive the January 2024, it's hard to even say 2024, where does the time go? I certainly have no idea. This past year has literally been a blur, but in a good way. But in all seriousness, our January newsletter was mailed to all of our members earlier this week on Tuesday. Some of you would have received it by now, or you will be receiving it over the next couple of days. So I want to take some time today, whether you've already received it or soon will receive it. I hope all of you read it, but I want to spend some time just kind of taking a little bit of a deep dive into what you can expect, what's in the newsletter, to give you just a little bit of an idea of what's there. But first of all, if you're watching this video or if someone shared it with you or shared this week's email with you and you're not a member of Mass Retirees, I certainly hope that you will join. Now, if you're a public retiree and you're not a member, we are the only statewide organization here in Massachusetts representing all retired public employees from all across the state, from all walks of public employment, whether you are a local firefighter, police officer, DPW, school custodian, teacher, or at the state level, correction officer, state police, legislator, anybody who worked for the government at either the state, county, or municipal level here in Massachusetts is eligible for membership in our association. Now, we were formed back in 1968. We're a nonprofit. Our only focus is representing public retirees and focusing on your retirement. In addition to public retirees, we also have a special membership class for associate members. These are members who are currently active employees, you're still working, but you're nearing retirement age, you're starting to think about retirement. The information that we put out in these weekly videos and our weekly email messages, and in particular in the newsletter, is extremely important, not just to retirees, but also for those of you who are currently working but starting to think about retirement. We are a great resource in terms of helping you to plan for retirement, know what kind of questions to be asking, and to help hopefully make sure that there are going to be no surprises for you down the road. I can't tell you the number of phone calls that we get from new retirees who did not know about weapon GPO, did not know that they had to join Medicare, didn't know how the COLA worked, didn't understand the differences between options A, B, and C in terms of your pension selection. All of that information is contained in the materials that we put out week after week. So if you're watching this as an active employee or a retiree, visit our website, massretirees.com. You'll find more information on our association there, but you'll also have the ability to join us online securely, or if you'd rather send in a paper check, you can learn how you can do that there as well. So with that, let me jump into the content of the newsletter. And before I do, here's a copy of it. It's hot off the press. You'll see the top story is President's message from our president, Frank Valeri. And Frank's focus, just like the message that you would have received from me last week, is focusing on the cost of living adjustment, specifically the state and teacher COLA base, and laying out the case as to why an increase in the state and teacher base is long overdue. As I said last week, it's now been more than 12 years since the base increased. We are working very closely with Governor Healy's administration as well as with the legislative leadership to hopefully increase the state and teacher base for the coming fiscal year. So that's how we're kicking off the front page of the January newsletter. Above the fold is the story on the COLA. Now, in addition to the state and teacher COLA, you will also find a story reporting on local COLA activity, and specifically recent steps out in Greenfield and in Montague to increase the COLA base in those two communities. And that type of work continues day in and day out across 102 local retirement systems all across Massachusetts. But also right here on the front page, bottom of the fold, is a full report on the recent congressional hearing that took place in November down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on the Social Security weapon GPO. We report all on what happened at the hearing, the testimony of the 4 retirees who testified on behalf of all retirees across the country. And we also, in addition to reporting on the hearing itself, we have a complete analysis of what our key takeaways from that hearing are, and a little bit of what we're thinking might occur into the first part of 2024. So look for that in the newsletter if you're someone who's impacted or interested in what's happening with weapon GPO. Now on page 3 of the newsletter, just like every other newsletter, is our complete calendar of events for the first 2 months of 2024. So if you're interested in attending an area meeting here in Massachusetts or down in Florida, please look to page 3. You'll find all of our meeting information contained there. Now, speaking of our area meetings, our very first meeting of 2024 takes place the Friday after New Year's, Friday, January 5th in Tewksbury at the Tewksbury Elks. The meeting kicks off at 11 a.m. That information is contained again on page 3 of the newsletter. It's also on our website. If you're in the Tewksbury area, we'd love to see you in person. We always have refreshments. We do a cash door prize at the end of the meeting for members who are in attendance at the end of the meeting. And you're also welcome to bring a guest along with you. And our meetings are open to all Mass Retirees members. Also in the newsletter, Nancy McGovern has done a great job of reporting on our legislative package. As we indicated in last week's report, our legislative package remains at the committee level. The very last public hearing on one of our bills took place a week ago. We're anticipating that the various committees that have been reviewing our legislative proposals will begin to take action on those proposals early into 2024. So keep an eye on our weekly reports, and in the March newsletter, we'll again have a complete legislative report on any bills that are reported out of committee, hopefully favorably through the first part of the new year. We're also spending a great deal of space and time and effort in this newsletter talking about Medicare. You may recall a few weeks ago, in a weekly message, we had a full report on turning 65 and the whole process that retirees need to go through once you become eligible for Medicare. In order to remain insured under your state or your local health insurance, you're required to join Medicare if you are eligible to be a member of Medicare. So because of the severe or the high level of interest that came as a result of that article, we got a lot of calls, a lot of emails, a lot of you reached out to me directly for further information, and you had questions. So we have expanded on that story. It's published in the newsletter. If you have any questions about turning 65 and what some of the specifics may mean for you, give us a shout. We're here to help with that. In addition to turning 65, we also have a full report on the Medicare Part B premiums for 2024. Now, obviously, we are never happy anytime we see an increase in insurance premiums. However, when it comes to Medicare, there are 2 things to really keep in mind. First of all, this is a national program. It's the federal government that operates and controls Medicare, not the state government. We have no direct say whatsoever and how Medicare is operated or what the premiums are. Those premiums apply to all retirees, both public sector and private sector across the country. There are 6 different levels of Medicare premiums that are based on your income, and they look at your income from 2 tax seasons ago. So for 2024, it's the 2022 tax season that would potentially impact what your level of contribution is. And the basic level of contribution represents about 25% of the overall cost of Medicare Part B for you. The federal government picks up approximately 75% of the cost. The retiree picks up 25%. So that's a pretty fair deal. However, we know that just like every other insurance product, Medicare year over year continues to become more expensive as well, which is a concern. And that's why we're focused on other areas of healthcare working directly with Blue Cross and Blue Shield and Unicare and the GIC and IBIS Health and others to try to find ways to keep our members healthier, improve your quality of life, while also over the long haul gaining more control over the medical inflation, because it's only going to continue to get more expensive, which is a concern. Now, in this edition of The Voice, we also have a special thank you note from our association's PAC treasurer, Ralph White, who's the former president and the founder of Mass Retirees. Ralph has provided a thank you for those of you who have chosen to contribute to the PAC in 2023. Our PAC drive, once again, it's still open, so if you haven't contributed yet and you'd like to, you can either do so online or by sending in a PAC contribution to the association. We're very appreciative of the generosity of our members, both in terms of donating to the PAC, as well as promptly renewing your membership for 2024. And again, as I said last week, I can't thank you enough as the association CEO for the support and the loyalty of our members, and just how quickly thousands of you have chosen to renew your membership with us for 2024. It means a lot. It really goes a long way in terms of helping me to manage the operations of this organization. So thank you so much. Now, we also report on the various area meetings. We have a lot of pictures in this newsletter, so if you've been at one of our area meetings, we may have a photograph of you in this newsletter. One of my favorite parts of this job is meeting with you and having a chance to talk to you and answer your questions, or maybe solve a problem that you might be having related to your retirement at one of our area meetings. So if you haven't turned out in the past, please consider doing so when we're in your community in the coming year. But we have a full report in the newsletter on that. We also report on the healthcare related meetings that we have been involved in, whether it was the conference in Washington, D.C. Back in November, the Blue Cross Blue Shield Forum in October, the recent GIC meeting that took place in person for the first time since prior to the pandemic. We're very heavily focused on a number of key issues with your retirement, and healthcare is certainly one of the more prevalent issues that we're really working on a day in and day out basis. Now, the final story is also related to healthcare. We report in this newsletter about the ongoing activity and partnership that takes place or is taking place between Sensio Systems and Maya. Maya, of course, is the health insurance arm of the Mass Municipal Association. Maya carries Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance products. They do a fantastic job of providing healthcare benefits to, I think, roughly 160, 170 smaller communities and school districts across the state. They do a wonderful job. We work very closely with the leadership at Maya, trying to coordinate and help each other as best we can. One of the areas where we've been able to come together and join forces is working with Sensio Systems and their IBIS health product, which of course is the Tellahealth platform that not only Maya is using, but also Unicare at the GIC level. We are now starting to see, because of the numbers of retirees who are participating in this plan, which, by the way, is free of charge to anyone who's enrolled in Medicare. Medicare picks up the full cost of this. And the whole concept behind this is really twofold: to help retirees lead better quality and healthier lives. And if we're able to accomplish that, the long-term goal is to lower healthcare costs. And we're starting to see some very positive early results from the numbers that are coming out of this program. Retirees like the program, they're finding success with the program, and we're starting to see some very positive signs that we may see long-term, significant long-term healthcare savings as a result. So these are all really positive things. So that pretty much sums up the basics of this edition of The Voice. You know that The Voice comes out 6 times a year. So January 2024 is our first edition of the new year. You can look for the next edition in March. We are constantly working on the newsletter, it seems. I want to again thank Bill Reary, who's our general counsel, but he's also the editor-in-chief of The Voice. What you see in the quality of this product, I think, speaks for itself. But that's all as a result of the work that Bill and our partners at Chameleon Design Group, the work that they do collaboratively to put together every edition of the voice. I think really the product speaks for itself. So I hope that you enjoy reading it and that you get value out of it, you're informed, and you find it interesting as much as the love that we put into that work product that we are happy to send out to you. So with that, thank you for watching again today. I hope you're all well, and we will be back to you again next Friday, which will be the last message before the new year, a little holiday message that's going to come from us. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.